Krishna, dear devotee, Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. So today we will uh, understand the verse from 18th chapter, 39 verse. So before we go into the chapter, let us take darshan of Jagannath Mandir. Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra Mai ki, Sudarshan Bhagwan ki Jai, Panchatattva ki Jai, Chaitanya Nitai ki Jai, Parashram Bhagwan ki Jai, Vaman Dev ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Gurudev ki Jai. ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमामो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले मते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So the concept that Krishna is telling now is the happiness in three different modes. So far he has already explained about different other aspects like karma, kartha, and all whatever we do. So in different modes, how they are. So we need to identify in which mode we are in. So that is the reason Krishna is trying to give us this knowledge. So basically, this knowledge is given to devotees, so that the devotees will not, misunderstand by the happiness that we are getting, so that happiness will lead us, not to progress in devotionally. So Krishna is helping us here, so that the happiness that we have, whether it is in mode of goodness or passion or in ignorance. So in the last two verses, we have seen the happiness in mode of goodness and mode of passion. Today we will see the happiness in mode of ignorance. यदग्रे चानुबन्धे च सुखं मोहनम् आत्मनः यस्य प्रमादोत्तम तत्तामसं उदाहृतम्. And that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from beginning to end, which arises from the sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be of the nature of ignorance. So this is the happiness that we are going to get from the nature of ignorance. So if you see the happiness in mode of passion, in fact it will be giving happiness in the start of the actions that we perform, but maybe at the end of these actions, so it will not be happy. So the ending will not be happy. Whereas if you see the happiness in sattva guna, that means mode of goodness, that in the initial stage it does not look like a nectar, so but it will look like a poison. But when we progress, then we will enjoy that nectar. So then we will feel it as a really relishable. So but whereas when it comes to happiness in ignorance, Krishna is telling here that it will be at the beginning also it will be illusion, and at the end also it will be in delusion. So that means we don't ever feel really happy, but we feel it as happy. So that is the one thing that Krishna is telling. So if you see, even if you understand this, this is basically given for a devotees, so that the devotees will not, do mistakes, and they will progress in bhakti. So otherwise, what will happen? Whatever the enjoyment that we are getting, or whatever the happiness that we are getting in devotion also, we have to understand whether that particular happiness is actually in mode of goodness or not. Example, once it happened that, Prabhupada was asked that, there are some guests from Western countries, and they were having some habit of taking tea, coffee, but um, uh, they stopped it now. So having tea, coffee is addiction, but the addiction was stopped. But now, because they stopped the addiction of having coffee and tea, they wanted to have something in that place so that, you know, they can be progressing in spiritually, and also they can be fulfilling their, need. So then Prabhupada said, what are you going to do? How are you going to suggest them? Then he said, see, they are liking Tulsi tea. So can I tell them to take Tulsi tea so that, they will get some refreshment, or there may be some replacement for the coffee or tea that they are taking? Then Prabhupada said, okay, go ahead. Then the devotee asked, uh, if you can suggest Tulsi tea for those devotees, that means Tulsi tea is agreed to be taken in devotion, and I can also take it? He asked. Then Prabhupada said, no, it is not meant for you. That means uh, taking of the tea, whether it is a Tulsi or it is with the caffeine, is restricted if that becomes an addiction. So addiction is something will cause some, bondage. So Prabhupada mentioned clearly that the people who have tea, if they want to take Tulsi tea, it is agreed. Even in ISKCON, we also get coffee, tea, which is Vedic, but we can take that. But the problem is that should not become an addiction. So if we get an enjoyment by taking such tea, such coffee, which is Vedic and which is not having any caffeine, but still, if that is becoming an addiction, the happiness that we are getting is not in mode of goodness. So if that happiness is not in mode of goodness, then obviously we will not progress in bhakti. So the same applies even to prasad. So we are also taking prasadam in temple. We think we are doing a devotional service. Having prasadam is, transcendental, and it will help us purify our heart, and we can progress in bhakti. That's true. But what kind of enjoyment we are getting, what kind of happiness that we are getting, also we should classify. If that happiness is in mode of goodness, or if that happiness is in mode of passion or in ignorance, we need to understand. If we cannot classify the happiness that we are getting, we don't progress in bhakti. So if we think that, for our sense gratification, like having prasadam is also sometimes it is tasty for our tongue. So then in that sense, if we enjoy the prasadam also, that is not in mode of goodness. So that is something that we need to understand. That's why in 18th chapter, when Krishna is telling all these things, please understand that this chapter is not meant for non-devotees. This chapter is meant for devotees who have already been in the practice of devotional service and they want to progress in the path of mukti. If we cannot classify whatever we are doing in all three different modes, then we will not end up in achieving what we want. So he is very cautious, and that's why he is giving this knowledge to us. So maybe at the initial chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, maybe in the second chapter or third chapter, when Karma Yoga was told, it might be for non-devotees. So he is telling, do karma like this, do karma like that. Devotees must have been already doing in that way. Okay. It's not meant for devotees. It is meant for non-devotees so that they can understand how the action can be done, how the results of the action can be offered to Krishna. So these things are all already taught in the initial chapters, so that is meant for non-devotees who can come up in the stage of devotion or progress in the devotion, or they will like and they will accept, to surrender to Krishna. But now the chapter that we are actually seeing, 18th chapter, why, actions in mode of ignorance are required for a devotee? Why the actions or the happiness or the results that we are getting, everything in different modes, why we need to learn? So this is really meant for devotees, so that the devotees can progress in a right path. So, for example, the mode of ignorance, the happiness that we get in the mode of ignorance will actually keep us in delusion from the start to the end. This is the concept of this particular verse. So basically, the mode of ignorance, the happiness in the mode of ignorance can be due to three reasons: due to sleeping, and two, due to the happiness is due to laziness, and three is due to illusion. So, in the happiness due to sleep, Krishna said in one of other verses in the previous chapters, sleeping is also required for our body, but in a regulated way. So even the food also is required for a body, but that is also required in a regulated way. But why Krishna is telling here, sleeping, the happiness that we get in sleeping is a mode of ignorance. The happiness due to mode of ignorance. Yes. Sleeping for the biological needs of the body is not restricted. You can enjoy the sleep, whatever is required for the needs of the body. Beyond that, it is mode of ignorance. Okay. So we might be feeling that sleeping is giving us enjoyment. We don't have to wake up early, or we can maybe we can sleep more. Maybe instead of 8 hours or 6 hours, we can sleep for 10 hours, 12 hours, 10 maybe 12 hours sleeping also is giving us enjoyment. But other side, we are losing a lot spiritually. So we cannot progress in the self-realization. We cannot surrender to Krishna. We cannot understand what we are. We will lose many things, even in the laziness also. And due to laziness also, and because of more sleeping also, we will end up in not understanding what is good and what is bad, what can be done and what cannot be done. It happened, the same thing happened even in case of um, who is he? The name of Kumbhakarna. So it happened for Kumbhakarna. So Kumbhakarna was in the time. So his enjoyment or his happiness is in the mode of ignorance. So what happened to him? What happened to him? Kumbhakarna, when he was fighting in the battle with uh, uh, Lord Sri Rama, so he got up and then came to the battlefield. So he felt, so he does not know what is good, what is bad, what to be done, what not to be done in the battlefield. So he started eating Vanarasena. So this comes in Ramayana, Yuddhakanda. Kumbhakarna, instead of fighting and defeating the enemies, he started eating them. All Vanarasena, he started, he made them as a, non-veg food, and then he started eating. So while doing that, he does not realize whether he is eating soldiers of the enemy, or he is eating the soldiers of his own side. And he started eating even the soldiers of Asuras, and he is enjoying. So because of the way he is getting the enjoyment, that is the enjoyment or the happiness in the ignorance. And due to that, he is not knowing what is right, what is wrong, what he is doing, what he is not supposed to do. He does not know. That's why in the battlefield also, he started eating his own army. So is because of the uh, sleeping, too much of sleeping, what we lose. And maybe because of the laziness also. So this comes in one of the canto, in ninth canto in Srimad Bhagavatam. The king name is Nrug, and he is very good person in a way, but he is very lazy person. Although he is a king, so he was suggested by Brahmanas to, you know, do a charity. So while he was doing a charity to Brahmins, so he has distributed a lot of cows to the Brahmins while he is distributing. So one of the cow of a poor person also got mixed in his cows, and he has also offered that cow to Brahmanas. And that poor fellow, he was only depending upon that cow. He was not having cow. So then he started searching for his cow, and all over the kingdom he searched, and he found his cow was with one of the Brahmana. So then he argued with Brahmana that it is my cow. Then the Brahmana said, no, this is given to me by king. So then both of them, they went to the king to get the justice. But king was happily enjoying, and he was lazy. He was not even coming to, take care of the people, and he was not even coming and asking what people require. If somebody is coming and standing in front of the to them, which he is not doing because of the laziness that he has. These two people were standing there for so many days, so that at one day, at least king come and listen to us and then give the justice. But king never turned up to to see them and give justice to them. So in that way, the justice that he has to give as part of his roles and responsibilities as a king, he could not perform it because of the laziness that he has. And the happiness that he is getting due to that laziness is like happiness in ignorance. So then what happened to him? When he left the body, he has taken birth as a chameleon. So then that chameleon with that chameleon body, that king lived for 1,000 years. So this is the results that we get if we try to get happiness in the mode of ignorance. Okay, these concepts, concluded by Krishna with this particular verse, and Krishna starts next concept from the next verse, that how we can elevate to bhakti by using karma and jnana. He will start from the next verse. So he has already told many things, many things in mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. So this total concept gets concluded with this particular verse. So let us see what next Krishna is going to tell from the next verse. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhyayo cha paditanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. We can take questions if anybody has it.
No, you don't need to record, Prabhu. It's there.